Hi, everyone. My name is Grace Flowers, and today I will be discussing case study number 2. So a little bit about the client description and background. This client is male. He's 5 years old. His diagnosis is autism spectrum disorder. He communicates fully verbally. He can use I want and I need phrases. And the behavior of concern is screaming. The operational definition of screaming behavior is defined as emitting a loud vocalization for a duration of 3 seconds or longer. Some examples of this would be when a child is screaming to get adult attention, when a child is screaming for a highly preferred toy, and when a child screams to escape some sort of task or demand that is presented. Some non-examples would be when a child screams when they're displaying overexcitement. And lastly, another non-example would be when a child screams when they're singing a song that they really prefer. So prior to the intervention, the prompt behavior caused the client to constantly receive attention from the therapist. The therapist would use soothing statements such as, "What's wrong? Are you okay? How can I help you?" The client also instantly received a hug without demanding for it. So the client constantly received attention without telling the therapist what he needed. So his screaming behavior was reinforced because every time that he would scream, he would get attention in a negative way. So the intervention that we decided to implement is FCT with a choice board or functional communication training. So our choice board consisted of 8 different statements, such as "It's too loud in here," "I need a break," "I need to use the bathroom," "I need to stim." Those are just some of the choices that we made, and the client would independently choose which choice he needed in that moment. So every time the client made an independent choice utilizing his choice board, he received an edible reinforcer and verbal praise. We found that he was very reinforced by the fruit snack, so we used that motivation within the intervention. So the intervention continued. This slide really outlines the steps of kind of how we implemented FCT with the choice board. So the first step, when the client was displaying screaming behavior, the therapist did not provide attention to the behavior. So no soothing statements were utilized. The behavior was just kind of ignored in that moment. The therapist provided the choice board in front of the client. So the therapist would visually put that in front of them so that the client could then scan the different options. Step 3 is the client was given an opportunity to make a choice after visually scanning everything on the choice board. The client then could gesturally point at or verbally state the chosen statement on board that he needed in that moment. The therapist provided the client with 1 fruit snack and verbal praise for making an independent choice. And then the therapist would deliver the choice to the client as indicated on his choice board. Something to note is that the therapist did not provide prompting to the client because we really wanted to promote independence in choice making. So the therapist would wait for the client to make a choice rather than becoming dependent on the prompt. The client was provided with copious amounts of positive reinforcement when an independent choice was made by him. So statements such as, "Great job making a choice," "Nice job using your choice board," and "I love that you told me you needed time to stim," were all utilized. Why functional communication training with the visual choice board? This intervention was selected to decrease the frequency of the client's screaming behavior, to increase his independent demands as he was fully verbal, and to decrease the dependency needed on prompting to demand for what he needed. So we utilized ABC paper data that was collected and also direct observation occurrences within the natural environment. So we were really able to see the client in his natural environment. We determined that the function was attention, and this is socially mediated as the client needed to get attention from someone else. So 2 people are involved in that. And it's also important to note that the client chooses a communicative response, which is partner 1, and then partner 2 would be the therapist delivers the reinforcer of the fruit snack and verbal praise to the client for his independent choice making. So the DRA procedure that we used, the edible reinforcer of 1 fruit snack was eventually faded out. It was used during the very beginning stages of our FCT implementation, but we didn't want to depend on it. We didn't want him to always rely on getting a fruit snack. We kind of wanted to fade it out into just getting that verbal praise and positive reinforcement. So the positive reinforcement was provided to the client when he was not engaging in screaming behaviors to gain the therapist's attention. when he was displaying a calm body to gain the adult attention, and when he was independent in making a choice from his visual choice board. So the stimulus control, the client's screaming behavior was controlled by gaining access to both the edible reinforcer of one fruit snack and also gaining that adult attention from the therapist. So when attention was provided to the client for his screaming behavior, it increased in occurrence because the client learned that he has to engage in the screaming problem behavior to receive what he wants, which was attention in this situation. However, when the behavior was ignored, there was a decrease in occurrence. So we really wanted to wait for the client to make a choice because the frequency of the screaming behavior then decreased. When he relied on too many prompts, the behavior would then increase. So not providing attention right away and really letting the client make the choice first before gaining access to the attention that he wanted. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed my video.